All right, well, I guess for starters, happy Easter, everybody. Hope everybody has a nice day off. I'm gonna kind of take it slow today. Well, don't really have anything to do. Can't do any field work. So next thing I gotta do is spread fertilizer, and don't really have much else to work on. So we're finally at a point where we can just kind of until that time comes. But anyway, this isn't a typical video that I would do because this is not a truck channel, but this one's almost more for me than it is for you guys, just so that I got something to remember the old girl. But Friday I finally pulled the trigger and bought a new truck to replace old trusty Rusty. It was her time. Dad bought this truck when it was 3 years old, and it's a 96 with a 5.7, and Dad bought it when it was 3 years old. He bought it 99, and I can't remember how many miles it had on it. It wasn't that much, but he bought it, he drove it until I think I was 15 when he bought that truck, I think. So how old would I have been? I graduated in 12, so it would have been right around like 09 time frame, when like 08, 09. Because did he have, no, it had to be, yeah, it was right around then, because it was off the road for 3 years until I started driving it. Anyway, Dad drove it until it had 219,000 on it, and then he bought that truck, like, I want to say it was like 08 or 09, because he bought that. They would have had to have been 08, because he had that, or he bought that right after we bought my mom's last new truck, and that was an 08. So then when I turned 16, he gave this to me for my 16th birthday, and I had it off. It was off the road for 3 years because it needed all the brakes, it needed all the brake lines, it needed the fuel lines, it needed tires, and at that point I was in high school and didn't have the money to do all that. So my senior, well, actually, when I was 16, me and Ron, I did get the brakes done on it right away. Me and Ron actually did the brakes and put the lines and the fuel lines and everything on this thing. Actually, me, Ron, and Matt, because I remember we were all 300 at one point. But got the brakes done on it, but I couldn't afford tires. So it was off the road for, it was off the road till I turned 18, and then I finally got it plated and everything and put it on the road after I graduated high school. And drove it through the summer. Actually, I did not put tires on it. It still had the old tires and rims Dad put on it. I drove it through the summer with the tires and rims it had on it. Went down to college. My first semester of college, did I make it through the whole semester? I'm trying to remember. This was all, shoot, this was 8 years ago now. Man, I'm getting old. Because down there at Purdue, freshmen are not technically, you're not allowed to have vehicles on campus, because sophomores, juniors, and seniors get first digs on the parking passes. And basically, once they get everybody, all the higher ranking officers get their parking passes, whatever's left over extra, they have a lottery, and the freshmen get drawn out to get parking passes out of the lottery. So, and I can't remember if that happened first semester. I'm pretty sure it happened first semester, because I was driving this, yeah, it would have had to have happened like a month into school, because I was driving this back and forth home to harvest that year. So I got a parking pass. Mom and Dad wouldn't let me take it to college with the tires and rims it had, or with the tires it had on it. So I bought a set of take-off tires and rims from an RV place down south of here. Put tires and rims on it. Drove that with those tires, or drove it all. It got me all the way through 4 years of college, driving back and forth damn near every weekend. Got out of college, found my buddy worked for a tire store, got these HD rims for a set of takeoffs. So I put the HD rims on it, drove it for another year with the HD rims with the piece of shit Pirelli tires that were the takeoffs that I got for it. By that time I was working, had money, put a set of Goodyear Duratracs on it. Ran those Duratracs, wore those out. Put a second set of Duratracs on it, wore those out, and then I just put these Coopers on it this last winter. So I've wore out 4 sets of tires on it. But this truck is, I got a lot of memories in this truck. This truck, I think I came when I was in Riley Hospital when I was 5 and almost died. If I remember right, I came home from Riley in this truck. This truck brought my 66 home. Back when Dad was still driving it, it's got a Unigoose gooseneck hitch in it, which back in the day, now B&W is the hitch to have, but back when Dad put this thing in, these Unigooses were the hitch to have. And we had a 25-foot, well, it was a 20+5 load trail gooseneck that we hauled the tractors on. And we did that for a year doing plow days, but we had a hard time fitting my 66 to 77 and both plows on the trailer. So there was times where we'd have to have, seems like Dad ended up having to have a friend haul some plows sometimes. But either way, we did that for a year, and then Dad put a hitch on the back of that 25-footer, and we had a 18-foot car trailer that we would pull behind it with the plows on it. So there was a time where this truck was pulling doubles. Took the first vacation that I am old enough to remember, we took that in this truck. We went up north to Tequamanon Falls and Whitefish Point. We did the Shipwreck Museum. I was too young to do the bridge walk, but we went up there during the weekend that they do the bridge walk, which I think is Labor Day weekend. But took my first vacation that I can remember in this truck. Then Dad gave it to me. This truck got me through college. It got me through 4 years of work. It's basically done anything you could ever ask out of a truck. And as of right now, it has wow, this dash is dusty. 421,242.6 miles, which is pretty good out of a gas. And the amazing part, the motor's never been out of it, the transmission's never been out of it. Nothing in the powertrain or drivetrain has ever been touched in this truck. Now, that being said, it's on its, I've put 2 water pumps in it, and I think Dad put 2 in it, so that would make it on its 5th water pump. It's on its 3rd radiator, which it would only be on its 2nd radiator, but the year after, my 66 came from an auction down in Columbia City, Indiana. It was run by an auctioneer named Don King, which I'm not sure, he was pretty old when he's doing that auction. And I've tried to find his auctioneer place, or try to find his auction again, and I haven't even been able to find anything on Don King auction service. So I'm wondering if he passed away and they quit doing the auction. But it was actually the year after we bought my 66, because we used to go down there every year just because it was like, at that point, it was like one of the largest tractor auctions in the United States. It was at the Whitley County Fairgrounds. and they had just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of running tractors and implements and it was the entire fairgrounds was chocked full. Well, a year after we bought my 66, we were down there and we didn't have a trailer or nothing. We were just in the regular parking. And this guy in this, I think it was a Dodge 1-ton, was trying to weasel his way out of some mud, because every year we were down there, it was a hog waller. It was like, if the Don King was having an auction, you can guarantee it was going to rain that weekend. And this guy backed into the front of Dad's truck, and he was going to take off, but luckily we were walking to the truck at the moment he did it. And basically when he backed into it, he pushed the bumper in, pushed the grill in, and if I remember right, I don't think he poked a hole in the radiator, but I think it got into the radiator, and it wasn't too much longer for the world and started leaking, so Dad had to put a radiator in it because of that. But so it's got the water pump, radiator. My senior year, or my freshman year of college, I went down, it was the year I bought my grain truck. I went down to look at my grain truck, which was down, it was a little town, I think it was 40 miles across the Illinois state line on I-70, just south of 70. Like, there's this goofy little intersection you turn off, and like, it was right there. But went down there to looked at it. Ironically, the guy that I looked at that had my grain truck had this exact, I mean, they were twins, had this exact same truck, red, cab and a half, long bed. It was twin to this truck, which was kind of funny. But went down, looked at my grain truck. On the way back, I made it about 20 miles away from the guy's farm on I-70, and I was going along about, hell, whatever traffic runs on I-70, like 70, 75 mile an hour, just going along, and then all of a sudden, nothing. No power, lost my brakes, lost my steering, nothing. Engine died. So I coasted over the side of the road. It's like, this ain't good. Tried starting it. It would hit like every third or fourth time over. It hit on like 1 or 2 cylinders. Could not get it to run, and at that point I'm stuck in the middle of I-70. It's like 2 in the afternoon. So that's the only time it ever really left me far away from home on the side of the road. I sat down there for 7.5 hours on the side of I-70 while Dad came down with a trailer and picked me up. Turned out at that point it probably had, I don't know, 200 and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 225,000 maybe. The bushings went out in the distributor, and the distributor cap, or the rotor, wiped the distributor cap out, so it couldn't fire. So really, that's the only major engine part, if you want to call it that, that's ever really not the most common non-replaceable wear part that has ever been done to this motor is had a distributor dropped in it. But like water pumps, those go out. Like radiators, they go out. Other than that, and I think Dad had to put an intake gasket on it, which was common on these first generation Vortex anyway. But outside of that, this motor and the transmission have never been touched. And when Dad was still driving it, he had the transmission flushed and fluid changed and filter changed every 25 or 50,000. I can't remember. He was doing it pretty regularly. Well, then it was off the road, and at that point it had 219,000 on it. And everybody I talked to, I have several friends that are mechanics, and I'd ask, I was like, would you flush the transmission in this thing? And they're like, does it drive? Yeah. Does it shift okay? Yeah. Don't touch it. Because I guess once these things get a few miles, or get that many miles on them, if you change the fluid and filters in them, there's a chance that you'll smoke the clutches. I'm not an automatic transmission guy, don't know why, but all I know is I've put from 219,000 up to a point now, and I've never changed the fluid and filter in the transmission. The oil's still red, and it's never used any oil. So that transmission is, the only thing it does is, in the winter time, sometimes you got to drive down the road about a mile before the transmission will get warmed up, and it'll shift from first to second, but it won't go from second to third right away. Once it makes that first shift from second to third, it'll bang through all the gears just fine. It's just sometimes it's got to get warmed up to make that jump from second to third, because it's a 3-speed with an overdrive. But basically the whole reason, well, there's a lot of reasons that I needed to quit driving it. It's not safe to have on it. I'm for first day not safe to have on the road anymore. The back two, it's got 6 cab mounts. The back 2 are gone. The middle 2 are not long for the world. The cab corners are gone. The rockers are gone. It's actually a second bed that's been on it. The first one, the bed side's rusted off. I put that bed on it. The front end is whooped. I mean, to keep driving this thing, I mean, you can tell it's been cupping the tires. The front end, it needs 100%, it needs everything, all the bushings, the ball joints, it needs everything in the front end to make it right. The frame is rusting out here. It did the same thing on the other side, and I already fixed it. The frame is basically non-existent behind the rear axle, so I really shouldn't be pulling anything with it anymore. It's got a major exhaust leak on the passenger side manifold, which is really common on this body style of Chevy. Every exhaust guy I've talked to cannot explain why this manifold rusts out right down there where the donut is. He said everybody I've talked to, passenger side will rust out, or will rust until there's nothing left. Driver side will be just fine. But both manifolds are cracked. That one's rusted out. It won't hold a donut anymore, so there's a massive exhaust leak there. GM did their stupid thing where they got 2 cats staggered one behind the other, and there's a flange in between them. There's an exhaust leak at that flange that I've tried fixing multiple times, and it won't hold the gasket anymore. It's her time to go. Pretty sure it's only running on 7 cylinders now, because last winter I had it over. I was over working in the woods at my house, and I didn't drive it for 2 days because I had Morley's dozer over there, and I was doing everything at my house, so there's no reason for me to leave. And went to take Morley's. I was going to take Morley's dozer home. Well, I was going to run this thing home and get a load of diesel to dump in the dozer before I took the dozer back. Went to start the truck. It rolled over about twice, and it made the most obnoxious, loud, sounded like a gunshot going off, backfire that I have ever heard. I almost jumped through the roof of the truck. It was that loud. And there was a bunch of white smoke rolled out from behind it. And would not start, would not. I probably cranked on this thing for 10-15 minutes because I was so confused as to what happened, because it literally ran fine 2 days before that. So I got a buddy that's he went to school for mechanics, or he went to what's the one down in Indy, UTI. Had him come over and look at it, and his dad and granddad are real good shade tree mechanics, so he knows a bunch of tricks, and we did some fiddle fucking around and we got it to start, but it ran rough. So I brought it home, changed the cap, changed the rotor, put plugs in it. The only thing I didn't change was the plug wires, and that helped a little bit, but the poor girl, she's been on a downhill slide basically ever since last Christmas. And I'm pretty sure it's only running on I'm pretty sure it's only running on 7 cylinders now. But it was just her time to go. So last Thursday, that's how quick this happened. Last Thursday I found a truck. Last Friday I bought it. I was screwing around on Auto Trader while I was at work, and this thing came up for sale just 20 minutes north of here. So I went and looked at it, and he had it advertised for 10, and I went up, drove it around. There's a few issues. It's an 02, which this body style of GMC and Chevy is just known for being a rust bucket. I mean, normally you find a truck this time, or you find a truck this body style this late in life, they're like gone up to here because something about this body style just rusts. But this one, the doors are solid on both sides. It's got a little bit of rust in the driver's side rocker that's very, very fixable. The hinge for the tailgate on the driver's side did not rust. It just broke. Like it's like it stress cracked and it broke, but it's still there, so we can weld that back in. That'll be an easy fix. It's got a little bit of rust in the passenger rocker, which again is really fixable. But anyway, it's definitely an upgrade. Interior is immaculate. And it's only got 157,000 on it. But it's everything I wanted, because I hate vinyl seats, because this is Michigan and it gets cold and vinyl seats are cold. But I wanted cloth interior. I wanted 4x4. I wanted long bed. I would have taken a single cab, but this is a cab and a half. It's what I'm used to. It's nice having the extra room. A 6.0 because I didn't want a Duramax, especially in this body style, because an LB7 is not the greatest engine in the world. You can make them decent, but you got to throw a bunch of money at them to do so. And the only other stupid thing is it's got this little rough spot right here in the hood that I don't fully understand, but that'll be an easy fix too. But basically today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tires and rims, because this has got this white fuzzy HD rim shit going on where the clear coat starts to come off and the aluminum starts to oxidize. And I'm going to take my rims and tires and put on this. That way I've got not street tires, because these things, I got a feeling you get off in the mud, are going to be about useless. I need to get my toolbox and fuel tank put in it. This bed liner's going away because bed liners suck. This one's only got a class 4 hitch on it. My hitch is a class 5 Reese, and it looks like, I got to do some measuring, but it looks like my hitch will bolt right on that truck. I might have to, that one's held on with 3 bolts per side, and this one is held on by 4 bolts per side, so I might have to add 1 set of bolts. But if I could put that hitch on it, because all the receivers we got around here are 2.5 inch, so I don't want to have to go out and buy a bunch of damn hitches just for that truck. But if that will fit it, I'm going to take that, or cut this hitch off of my truck, take it over to Tyler's, have him blast and prime it, put it on that truck. The tires and rims off of that are going to go on my 6.2 for now, so that I got 4 tires that'll hold air. The tires and rims off the 6.2 are probably going to go on this thing, and I'm going to try to sell it. It probably should go to scrap, but I can't bring myself to scrap it because I love this truck too much. And while the body is junk, there's a lot of good interior parts. It's got a new radiator in it. The fuel tank in it's only 3 years old. The fuel pump's only 3 years old. The alternator on it's not, I mean, there's a lot of good parts on this truck, just as long as you don't need body panels or a frame. And actually the bed, as far as like 90s boxes go, I'd say that's very fixable. It's got a little bit of rust like right in here, but that bed's fixable if somebody really wants a bed. Tailgate's junk, but I don't know. I figured I'd throw it up there at the farm where the 22's sitting. I figure I'd throw it out by the road for 500 bucks OBO, and if somebody will give me 300 bucks for it, I'll let it go. It'd probably scrap right now for 600-700 bucks. I think scrap's up to $220 a ton, but like I say, I really just don't want to scrap it. But anyway, like I say, this is not really a video I would normally do because we're not a truck channel around here, but she's been around long enough. I think she deserved her own exit video. So plus, any truck guy will understand that when you find a good one, it's really hard to let him go, but it's her time to go. But anyway, I guess, holy shit, it's been 25 minutes talking about nothing but a truck. So anyway, I guess I'm gonna go in and get this video uploaded, and I'm gonna start moving into the new truck, I guess. That's it for this one. I'll catch y'all on the next one.